In an AU, Cuddy would have split into two, the one who loves the Idol PreCure and another who loved the darkness, and then they'd kiss?
Welcome to King of the What Now, a podcast that talks about whatever we want. We hope you enjoy the show, or else.
Podcast.
Hello, friends and fairies from the Kira land and other people who transform in order to fight evil. Hello even to the people who are that said evil, because I believe there's good in your heart and you can be turned to the side of good. Welcome.
Do you believe in
magic?
Real evil?
I mean, as a concept, is something that, like, takes over a person and controls them, like the devil from Christianity? No. But I believe that there are actions that are evil. But I don't believe that anyone is born evil.
Okay, do you believe that there's a point upon which surpassing it means you cannot be redeemed?
Probably, but it's hard to say.
All right. Yeah. Welcome
to the June episode. I'm sorry that it's coming out late. I hope that this comes out before the end of June, but happy Pride if it does come out before. You know what? Happy Pride even if this comes out in July.
You get to be proud year-round if you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully nobody can hear my dog having her freaky little time right underneath me.
You'd be surprised what does or does not get picked up by the mic. Kirby's whining will be audible for part of the Magnus Archive episode. Welcome to Cure of the What Now? Law! A show where we discuss the ongoing series PreCure. This season, we're talking about the season of PreCure, You Idol PreCure.
That is currently airing, yes.
Yes, absolutely. We watched episodes 13 through 16. And hang on. Episode 13, Go Go Kira Keylight. Episode 14, Dear Mom, A Message from Kokoro. Episode 15, Operation Make Sissy Fall in Love, Mero. Episode 16, Full Bloom, Intensive Practice, the Hanamichi Town Festival.
We didn't even say who we were!
Yeah, I for some reason I thought about introducing the show and then introducing ourselves.
Huh.
I'm your host, Joel, and I am fired up to win the water polo match, because if I do, then I will have the courage to tell my wife that I like her.
Oh, you haven't told your wife that before?
I don't have the courage, no, I have to win the water polo match.
Okay.
And for some reason I'm in middle school again. This is a nightmare, help me.
I believe in you, I'm waving my little key light. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's so hard to say. My name is Kat. I'm here, and I have been doing intensive training all day long, so now I'm really worn out. I was actually at a children's birthday party earlier, and there was a water slide, and it's like 100 degrees out, so the water slide was fun, but now I'm tired.
Yeah, I should say this as a blanket statement. If you hear the AC on in the background, I'm so sorry. I have tried to figure out how to get it to not show up, but I need it on or I will die.
We're in the middle of a heat wave, boys. Deal with it.
All right. So, we also sometimes talk about what we've been watching or listening to or anything like that. Catherine, is there anything that you would like to shout out to our listeners?
I really liked Secret of the Mimic, the new Five Nights at Freddy's game. I was telling you earlier that it feels like a really well-made fan game because it doesn't have the core gameplay that I feel like characterizes a real Five Nights at Freddy's game, but it was still well-made and I enjoyed it. And I thought they put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to shout out a video on YouTube called Power Scaling and Literacy by Zayda? It's Zayda. I can't remember how she pronounces it, but Zayda, the forward thinker. It's a really interesting video essay, and even if you're not part of the power scaling community, even if you've never touched it, I think that she makes some really interesting points about analyzing media like it's high literature. And I know we're doing a podcast. That's theoretically what I should be doing, but it reminded me that even something like PreCure or Bleach or One Piece that are aimed at different audiences or younger audiences, they can still have themes and stuff. And so we made an announcement that we were going to try to focus on the positives, but I think I forgot what that meant, and this video reminded me what that means.
Oh, I like that a lot. If you want a higher level literary analysis of PreCure, you should check out Ivan Hobe.
Yes.
He is somewhere. I don't know if he's still on Twitter, because we're off of Twitter now, but I'm sure you'll find him.
Didn't he have a podcast or something? Didn't he have, like, a website or something? I can't remember.
It's been so
Twitter. Long. Oh, it was just, okay. Well, awesome. We've also been watching the Apothecary Diaries. We're a little bit behind on that because it was a hit anime when it came out, but you've really liked it.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked it a lot.
Okay. Explanation point.
It has a good video about why it's good and why other things are bad that I would also recommend.
Yes. Is that are you thinking about the one talking about how it's not overtly about feminism?
Yeah.
That is explanation point.
What? You can just edit your voice saying explanation point over my voice saying
explanation point. Great about that? That's actually explanation points' joke. If he ever misspeaks, he always, overcorrects. So he'll be like, in episode 9!
I like that. That's even better. All right, yeah. Other than that, I feel like I've just been really into the Magnus archives, and it's kind of challenging that we decided to podcast about it, because that means I can't just binge 200 episodes of it straight. But also, I like talking to you about stuff that we like, so.
Also, I do not say this often enough, but I put links in the episode description, whether you're listening to this on your podcatcher of choice, Spotify, or on YouTube, where we upload the videos. Just go to the description. I'll have a link to that video I mentioned, and I'll probably also have a link to the Crunchyroll landing page for Apothecary Diaries. I think that one's going to be easier to find for most people. Anyways.
How did you get a wild cat in the description? You said you had links in the description.
It's not a wild cat, I domesticated it. His name is Larry the Lynx, and he files my taxes.
All right, fair enough. So let's get into this PreCure thing.
Right, let's do a succinct summary.
I would love to hear you succinctly summarize these episodes. One sentence per episode.
It's so good because it's been so long since we watched the first couple that I almost can't remember. However, we have episode 13, which is about the girls participating in a sports tournament, and a unimportant character from this episode really wants to win this one. To quote Dodgeball, one of the best sports movies of all time. Episode 14, Kokoro wants to write her mom a really meaningful message on Mother's Day, and also it's her birthday, which she forgot. Episode 15, we have a date episode between the most annoying fairy character of all time and probably one of my top 10 least favorite fairy characters of all time. It's not good. That's 2 sentences, I'm so sorry. Episode 16, the Idol PreCure are going to perform at a concert, and it's a really important concert, so they go on a training montage. And those have been your most succinct summaries I've ever done.
Those were really succinct summaries, yeah. So, I just want to highlight the asshole in the room.
What?
Meroron and her emotional journey was kind of the highlight of these 4 episodes. Even the episodes that weren't, specifically about her, I feel like she still played a pretty major role. And she sucks. I know we're trying to be positive, but, I don't like the yandere trope as applied to fairies. I'm not vibing with it.
Yeah, and I mean, theoretically you could think of her as a character who used to wonder what friendship could be. I think that's ultimately what they're trying to do with her, but they are doing such an exaggerated, over-the-top, if you even look at this fairy, I will hit you. And it's like, buddy, are you okay? Have you taken your meds? Have you done your borderline personality disorder exercises? Because if you don't do that, you're just not quite yourself.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I talked about this in the last episode, and I feel like this is very developmentally appropriate. For the age group that this show is aimed at, lots of those children have probably had moments where they're like, this is my friend, you can't talk to my friend.
Yeah.
Most people do, but moments like this remind me the show is not for me.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I am past that stage of my life and just find it frustrating. And also, Meroron doesn't seem to return Meroron's feelings at all.
Yeah.
And so the intensity of them just makes me uncomfortable.
Purin is almost like the Dragon Ball Super version of Goku. Apparently, Goku is even dumber in Super than he is in other franchises, and at one point he doesn't even know what kissing is, despite the fact that he's a father of 2 children. And I feel like that's Purin's level of awareness. When they had the date episode, Meroron says, I want to go on a date with you because I love you. And I know you can love your friends, but I don't understand how Purin can hear that and just get absolutely no understanding of what's going on.
Purin is comp-heading their own relationship.
And the other thing about this that is kind of annoying to me is, I think most adults would look on the way that Meroron is acting and go, that's pretty intense. That's not how a healthy relationship tends to work out. And Nana is over here encouraging it. And I don't know. It's probably because I am older than the targeted demographic, but that really gets me.
Yeah. It helps, kind of, that it's a show for girls, because at least we're not encouraging boys to be really insistent and obnoxious.
That is absolutely true.
But boys watch PreCure too. They did a survey a couple years ago about what people wanted to be when they grew up, and PreCure was one of the most popular answers amongst girls and boys.
That is fantastic.
So let's not promote this. I would rather be promoting violence. Make the girls violent again.
You know, which other character had a major arc over... Well, I think it started earlier, but, like, it continues in these 4 episodes. Cuddy. Let's check in with Cuddy. What's going on with him?
He appears to be getting really into this band. This idol group? What do you call it when it's just singers?
It's an idol group, still. He describes them as his faves, which, as far as I understand it, in the K-pop world is a big deal. And he has been discovered by Zachary. I don't think that, whatever her name, Chokerine, I don't think that she knows. But it gets so bad that Darkeen herself had to show up in this last episode and be like, you know what? I'm going to forcibly, whatever it's called when you... Yeah. And he became like this cool robot guy. And they did the thing that you put in YouTube thumbnails when you're trying to show that, like, someone's, like, super powerful, where, like, one eye is glowing red. There's one attack where both of his eyes do that. And I was like, is that a reference to the meme? The super powerful, eye thing? So, I liked that episode quite a bit.
I really like that Zachary is a bro about it. Like, he's clearly a little confused, and he's like, you can't, man. We're gonna get in trouble. You're part of this team. And Cuddy's like, I know. But he's not, like, mean. You only hear one of the cold opens at the beginning of each of these episodes. Sometimes if there's one that's really good, you'll have one at the outro. But we recorded, like, I don't know, what felt like a dozen or 20 or so. And in a lot of them, I fanfic about Zachary basically being like, because Cuddy defected, I will defect too. He's not quite as swayed by the Kira law, but this is his best friend. He's gonna go with his best friend into the light. Absolutely, yeah.
I'm wondering if Cuddy will be, like, not killed exactly, but, like, if he'll be banished from the lounge that the bad guys hang out in, and I want to see what Zachary's mental state is like after that.
You want to see if he'll be cut from the team? Sorry, I know you had a more serious point, but I had to get my joke in. Yeah, I mean, is Zachary going to slowly be like, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't have my buddy here.
Yeah.
And I have to do all the work myself. What is Chokerine doing? Oh, she's playing pool again.
I'm disappointed with Chokerine because, like, for the first couple of episodes, she was just the kind of manager who was telling them to go do stuff, and then Cuddy and Zachary were kind of like the useless henchman trope. But then there was an episode where she decided to join them in trying to gather the Kira la 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 or whatever, and I was like, oh, she's going to be a stronger commander, and she'll start showing up every once in a while. No, she's still just sitting on her butt. Like, come on, you're not supposed to just sit there and be pretty. You should be gathering the Kira la la la.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, she's just disappointing. What did you like about this group of episodes? Is there anything in particular you want to call out?
I do think that it's cool that Cuddy is able to be redeemed. I don't know about able to be redeemed, but he's not pure evil. He's not like some creature made of darkness who's repulsed by the light. He seems to legitimately be struggling the way that Uda, as Cure Idol, was kind of like, oh no, he's hurting, and that I feel bad for him, and that gave him like a little glimmer of light and hope that allowed him to not attack them with his big energy blast, which I swear is a reference to Dragon Ball Z. Nappa has an attack where he gets on all fours and shoots a beam out of his mouth, exactly like what Cuddy was doing. But I thought that was a really cool message. I was disappointed in Soaring Sky when they claimed that they wanted to be heroes, but they never did anything to help the generals that seemed to also be victims of evil. And we never finished that season. Maybe that comes up later, but, like, they just wasted Farts McGee, the pig man, and never once were like, should we check in on him? Do you think he's doing okay?
No, I'm much more by Uda as a heroine than I do the Soaring Sky Girls.
Yeah. Is there anything from these episodes you want to shout out?
Things that I liked.
I thought of another one if I could jump in. I really like Uda and Purin's friendship in the last episode we watched, 16. When they're invited to the festival, Uda does this silly little happy dance that, cartoon characters do, and Purun's dancing with her, and at the end of the episode, they have, like, a kind of heart-to-heart, or I think it's more mid-episode, but they just kind of are laughing and joking with each other, and like, yeah, we know they're friends, but it's also good to have those moments where it's emphasized.
And Uda emphasized, too, that Purun was part of Idol PreCure.
Yes.
That they're on the team, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I wonder who the mystery mid-season cure is coming up.
I mean, it's gotta be Meroron, right?
I guess so. We get news in our Discord from AU about, like, announcements and stuff, and they did spoiler the tweet, but, like, now we know for sure that there is a mid-season cure. And spoiler alert, at the end of this episode, I'm going to read off the next 4 episodes, and we're going to discuss what might happen, and one of those titles might directly tell you who the new cure is.
God bless Toei. Do you remember when we were going through One Piece the first time, how you sometimes made me cover my eyes at the next episode screen because you didn't want me to read the title?
Gosh, I'm on a Dragon Ball review podcast that reviews the anime, and we've recorded a bunch of episodes. They're not going to be out for a while, but I've watched the first 9 episodes of Super, and let me tell you, there's an episode called, like, Goku Makes His Heroic Entrance, and he shows up at, like, the 20-minute mark, and he has, like, 2 lines of dialogue before it goes into next time on Dragon Ball Super. Like, that's not how you do it. You gotta, like, tell me what the beginning of the episode is about, and then it could end with the big reveal. I believe there's also an episode in original Dragon Ball Z that's just called, like, Krillin Dies, and that's supposed to be a big shocking moment, but the episode's just called Krillin Dies.
That would get your attention, though, wouldn't it? If you were like, what do you mean?
He's one of the OGs. He's Goku's first best friend. Anyways, did you like the sports episode?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so let me back up. I liked all of these episodes while I was watching them.
Okay.
But nothing stands out except for Uda and Purun's relationship. And Uda in general, I really like her as a main cure. Like you said, I feel like she emphasizes, like, what it means to be a hero and try to include things. In the sport episode specifically, like, she was really encouraging of this girl and, like, bringing everybody else up to do their best so that she could have the courage to share her feelings or whatever.
When she attacks the Kurom Yaminda that episode, she says something about, like, how dare you trample on a girl's love, and, like, I like that. Also, sometimes they say, every episode is someone's first episode of a podcast, so I will just reiterate my point here. I think all of the pink lead cures from every season, with, like, a couple of exceptions, are all ace. They just have no idea, like, what kissing is, and this episode basically reinforced that stereotype I have in my head, because someone mentions, like, oh, I really like this boy, and, like, Nana and Kokoro are, like, immediately on board, like, oh, you have feelings? And Uda's like, love? And, like, tilts her head to the side. By 5 minutes in, she's on board and is rooting for them, but it was just very, like, Uda, do you not know what, like, kissing is? Do you know how your mom and dad, like, spent their time?
Now, because it's Pride Month, I'm gonna get picky on you. Are all of the pink cures ace, or are they arrow, or are they both?
I mean, it depends on which one, right? Some of them, like Momozona Love, I could see her being in relationships, but maybe not even... She's more Demi, I guess is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, we'd have to go through the list and figure it out, but for Uda, it's just completely oblivious.
Absolutely.
And Sora only dates people with the maximum amount of justice in their hearts.
She dates people with big swords, and people with big swords exclusively.
Okay, yeah.
Really quickly, just like every podcast episode is somebody's first episode, people learn new things every day. So for those of you who don't know, because I see a lot of character discourse about this, ace people can still have relationships, and they can still enjoy typical romantic things within those relationships. Aromantic people can still have relationships. It's just characterized by the lack of romantic or sexual attraction. But that doesn't mean that, like, you can't engage in other parts of life just because you don't experience attraction. I only wanted to get on my soapbox for that because I see it a lot, and I think it's important that people understand.
Well, and media analysis can sometimes be very narrow. So this episode isn't out yet, but I think it will, I don't know. The Magnus Archives has a character that I think might be autistic, and they never directly say it. And in that episode, I comment on the fact that, like, someone like Sheldon Cooper, who the showrunners claim isn't autistic, but they don't know their own character. But with someone like Sheldon, you have the character just loudly announce what their character trait is, and you show it over and over again. And I think people who are looking for asexual or aromantic representation, I think that they see any sort of interest in those things as like a betrayal or a hint that the showrunners don't think that they're ace or aro or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and those aren't identities that you encounter very often in your everyday life, so I think it's just easy for people to get confused or to not know what's going on.
Absolutely.
But back to PreCure.
Back to PreCure.
And then Uda planned a surprise party for Kokoro for her birthday.
Yes.
And Kokoro forgot that it was her own birthday because she was so wrapped up in her mom. That was cute.
Yeah, I really liked that. I liked that they were kind of being... They told you, the viewers, that something was going on. I can't remember if Kokoro was like, what is going on? But at the end of the episode, it all kind of came together, and I really liked that. I like that Kokoro has a single mom, because the dad passed away, and it shows how hard that is for Kokoro's mom, but the message is that, she's still trying her best. The mom is doing her best. And, I think that's important, that I think a lot of children think that their parents are annoying or too strict or whatever, and a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the times, that comes from a place of love, not a place of needing control or something.
Yep, humans are all just doing our best. We were really just meant to live in trees and hit things with sticks. But we're here somehow. We have computers and taxes.
Gosh, which PreCure from the Idol PreCure is most likely to just go feral with a stick? Kokoro, right?
No, Uda.
Okay. It's not Nana. Nana's the person who's most likely to try to take the sticks away from them.
Kokoro's a whole person. She has plans and dreams and goals, and she makes black market merch of her favorite idol groups. Yeah. But, Uda at her core is just a dog.
Okay.
And she would like to be free to run and bark.
Okay. I don't think... We just watched the date episode, and I don't have very many feelings that we haven't already discussed. I will say... So when Meroron was first introduced, you and I had a discussion on the podcast about whether or not Meroron was like, oh, that's my sister, or, oh my gosh, I want to kiss that person, or whatever. And you and I came across... We decided that it feels very romantic-coded. Very, I want to hold your hand, not you're my best friend. Meroron kissing Meroron on the cheek, and Meroron just being like, what was that? Confirms that it is one-sided, but it very much is a romantic interest more than anything else.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's something, as far as I understand, kissing is viewed as very adult in Japan, and so I'm curious about, the social implications of having a fairy kiss another fairy. I don't know that we've seen that in other seasons.
It was on the cheek, so I think that makes it a little less sexual, but I don't know. Maybe any form of, maybe even taking a lady's hand at the ball and giving it a kiss because you're an elegant prince, even that might be sexual in the Japanese culture. I don't know.
Your mouth was involved. Oh man, that's why the indirect kiss thing is, often brought up in anime.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anyway, yeah, no, it's definitely romantic. Meroron is down bad. You know what else I realized about Meroron watching these episodes?
What's that?
They're bald. If you look at Meroron, there's a fake mustache stuck in the middle of her forehead, their forehead. But you take that fake mustache away and just egg.
Yeah, well, they have the pigtails, but yeah, nothing on top of the head where humans tend to grow their hair. It is very distracting once you pointed that out. I believe there was one moment in here where you said, gosh dang the show making me feel things for Meroron or Meroron. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, it was Meroron. It was Meroron trying to contribute to the fight and just being knocked down and not being able to do anything.
Here's something, and this is really nitpicky, I understand, and this is not... in the spirit of media where it's at that we kind of discussed earlier. But this fight, they're trying to show that the PreCure are overpowered. They're not going to win because maybe they need the legendary item, the Densetsu no Heart Brooch from maybe next episode or so is when they'll get it. But the way that they were toning down the violence in order to, like, not get a different rating, it was like, Purin got smacked, but it made, like, no sound. There was no impact to it. And that's a very silly and nitpicky thing for me to point out, but, like, there were moments where my admittedly older than a child's brain went like, oh, that's kind of...
You know, if you were 6 and you were watching this, you'd cry.
Oh, yeah, I never once...
Like, around.
I never once caught that in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. They never actually show someone being punched, and they never actually show anyone with guns, because, like, the scene communicated what it needed to communicate. Those are men in suits telling you to leave the property. I know where this goes if you don't leave the property.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a scene in one of the episodes, I wonder if I wrote down which episode, but where Uda and Kokoro are both in the air, and Kokoro grabs Uda and swings and throws her in order for her to do a bigger punch. I do not know if that's how physics works. However, I really liked that. That was really cool.
Absolutely.
So I forgot that I actually took notes on these episodes. I just want to cover them before, we finish the episode. I wrote down for episode 13, the sports one, Cure Idol really pulled up with only my legs. I don't remember the context. She must have been, like, injured in some way.
Yeah.
Did she get, like, a volleyball catch or something, like, with her face, maybe?
Yes,
sorry.
something like that. Was that the final episode, or was that the volleyball episode you said?
I said the sports episode, is what I meant to say.
She got hit in the... I think it must have been she got hit in the face.
Also, really quick, it annoys me when people make references and don't tell me where they're from. I'm like, what is that? With Only My Legs is from My Hero Academia, second season of the anime. There's a character who cannot use his arms, but is like, I'm gonna beat this bad guy with only my legs.
I remember what it was. She hit the ground, but she still, like, managed to knock the ball over the net, so they got the win.
Yeah, absolutely. We have that quote that I mangled earlier, is we support girls in love.
You need that on a shirt. Like, should I just make that with my cricket for you?
Absolutely. How can a little tiny bug possibly help create clothing items? A few episodes ago, Kat asked me if Sunda was the most down bad character we've had in PreCure, but this character from this episode, apparently her name was Wakaba, is way more down bad.
We didn't do our mystery PreCure segment
this
month. Next month.
My mystery PreCure episode is I didn't watch any, so...
You could have described, like, an episode of Sailor Moon Crystal.
Oh,
and I would have
yeah. Wait, hang on, let me see. It seems like the fate of the world will be decided by a game of rock, paper, scissors. And it's a tense moment when you think that perhaps the main character won't lose, but actually, they tie. They have to play again, and they tie again, and then at the end of the day, they lose tragically, and it looks like all is lost, but then the hero arrives. What episode of PreCure am I describing?
Is that Dragon Ball Super?
That's an episode of Dragon Ball Super in which a talking pig plays rock, paper, scissors with a bald Sphinx cat alien man for the fate of the world.
Put some respect on his name. That's the goddamn god of destruction.
I thought you were going to talk about Oolong. I was like, if you can tell me what his name is, I will give you $50. Okay, let me see if I have any other notes. No, I really didn't have anything else. They ask their manager, Tanaka, to help them, and I really like the scene that is, I think it's Kokoro kind of like begging, like, please, and then Uda and Nana and Purin all slide in, and then he's like, I will give you a hellish training regime. I don't know if he... regiment, right? Anyways, they train. I really liked that. They're giving it their all. Purin is trying really hard, too. So, if I did not have episode titles to tell me what's coming up, I would assume that Purin will be the one to become the mid-season PreCure, because there was a point being made of Uda saying, you're part of the team. However, the mid-season cure can sometimes be the most baby of the group that has the most to learn. Actually, I don't know if I can think of an example where that's true.
I mean, Laura from Soaring Sky, literal baby. Not Laura. What was her name? Baby. The baby in Soaring Sky became the mid-season cure.
The baby was the mid-season cure. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then there was another season where it was the literal baby. Pecorin became a cure.
Pecorin doesn't count as an actual cure because that was episode 49.
That's true.
But anyways,
she wasn't on the team.
But I could also see the argument for Meroron being the one to get the mid-season cure because they don't know what friendship could be, and they're slowly learning. And also, they apparently had a super legendary heart jewelry piece.
Apparently.
That apparently is, like, going to change the world or something.
Oh, I just want to shout out really quick. The queen said that Meroron was born with no Kira.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, she's, like, the chosen one or something.
She's, like, disabled in the world she's from, right? Because I guess
they would
runs
be.
On Kira.
I feel like the show's trying to, like, hint at something bigger, and it's going to be something, like, really silly, but, no, we'll have to see where that goes. But yeah, would you like to talk about what we think might be coming up?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to
right.
read the episode titles?
Yes. So, next episode of the podcast, we will be covering, I need to see all the ones that, aired, or will be airing. Okay, so we will start with episode 17, Purin's Decision, Let's Go to Kira Land. That one's not a surprise, because the episode we just watched ended with them saying, I'm going to go back to Kira Land. The one after that, though, is called Who Are You? Zucune Through My Heart. Zucune? Like zucchini? Coincidence? I think not. This is another onomatopoeia. I don't know if it's a real onomatopoeia. I didn't look it up, but it is something that Meroron said when trying to describe their feelings for Purin. It's, you make my heart go Zucune. So really, they're just stealing Kokoro's thing. After that, we are also going to be covering The Pair's Vow, Cure Zucune, and Cure Kiss debut.
Zucune! So that's the names of our cures.
And there's two of them.
I don't actually hate Cure Kiss, but like, Jesus Christ, Cure Zucune.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, right? If I was only watching one episode at a time and I had no foreknowledge, I would have seen the episode title, Who Are You, Zucune Through My Heart, and I would have assumed that that's about Meroron, because they're the only ones that use that word. But I guess, Purin's not gonna be Cure Kiss. There's no way. And so, I guess Purin must learn the word Zucune, and must take... Here's what happens.
The PreCure.
Yeah?
When Zucune through Purin's heart.
I guess so. Or Meroron gets split into two halves, one pure white and one pure black, and they both become PreCures at the same time.
Amazing. I think they would be black and pink, like their hair.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, we're also going to be covering... Oh, we get to cover, I think, 5 episodes next podcast episode.
Oh.
But the next episode is called Puri, A Picnic to Find Memories. They lost their memories.
Yeah,
Who
do they
stole their
turn
memories?
into human cures?
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Wait.
Here it comes.
One of my cold opens was about how Meroron only has darkness in their heart, and I was like, what is this? Kingdom Hearts? But you can lose your memories in Kingdom Hearts. That's the whole point of one of the games.
My god! Cure Zucune and Cure Kiss are the nobodies.
Yes!
For Purin and Meroron.
One's the nobody and one's the heartless, and if you put them together, if you kill both of them, Purin will come back. That was the stupidest asshole in the entire series. And then we're also going to have Extraordinary, Miraculous Unison.
So that's just a new attack.
That's a new attack. I don't like that name, personally, myself. So I feel like we were already talking about our feelings as I was going through the different episode titles, but what kind of, do you expect anything revolutionary from Purin's Zucune moment? Because here's the thing, right? Like I said, let's engage with PreCure on the level that it's trying to engage with. We have a character who is not very good at learning emotions and is learning emotions, and so that's how they're going to become a valuable member of the team. Purin is trying their best, but is a very small fairy and can't help, so wants to be empowered. So I'm tempted to say that that episode with the Zucune is going to be something incredible. Like, Purin's going to be at their lowest moment, and the PreCure are going to do something extraordinarily cool that makes them go, oh my gosh, this is so cool. However, PreCure has disappointed me in the past, because sometimes they'll have episodes where it's like, do I know what friendship is? Yes, I do, because my friends are here for me. It's like, it's episode 36, what do you mean you don't know what friendship is? So I am worried it will be something like Purin is hungry and Uda gives them a cookie, and that's the big revolutionary moment.
Either Purin has a magic MacGuffin.
Wait, I meant revelatory moment, not revolution moment. I'm sorry. Look, when I'm editing and I notice I use the wrong word, if I don't correct myself, I get mad at past me. So now, future me won't get mad at present me, who at that time will be past me.
Listen, babe.
Yeah?
The game do be dark sometimes. That's all I have to say about that. No, so Purin decided to go to Kira Land because they couldn't help. So either they have a magic MacGuffin there that will help them, or, how I anticipate this episode going, is Purin will go to the Queen and be like, I must help the PreCure, I need to be part of their team. And the Queen will be like, are you sure? It will come at a great price. And Purin will be like, yes, I'm sure. And Purin will get transformed into a human person by the power of their feelings. And that is how they will be able to be a PreCure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like the idea of Purin going to the Queen and being like, teach me how to become powerful like the PreCure, and the Queen being like, the power was inside of you all along. Because that does feel very PreCure, because Purin is already trying their best. Like, they already had their moment of despair where they're like, I have to leave Uda because I'm not good enough for the friendship. So I think maybe Purin locks themselves in, like, a room, like a dark room, and is just like, I want to lay down, like, basically PreCure version of depression. And then Uda and Nana and Kokoro somehow reach through the barrier between the two worlds in order to be like, Purin, we do love you, you are valid. Even if you can't help us in battle, you're still valid, but maybe you could help us in battle by shooting a big rainbow beam. And Purin will be like, a rainbow beam? I never thought about that.
Absolutely.
And that has been your final Kiralala thought. May the Kiralala and you recognize the Kiralala in the universe. May rainbows guide you to your happiness.
And also with you.
In an AU, Darkeen would have made Zachary be the one to cut Cuddy's heart ribbon, and he would have refused or done it and spent the rest of his life in a downward spiral. I can't believe that was the day everything changed. He was my partner.
Oh, them boys are gay.
Well, friends, all journeys must end. And now today's journey has finished, and we must bid you goodbye. We hope you have a good day, we hope you were kind to those around you, and we'll see you again. If you want to contact the show, you can do so at kingofthewhatpod@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel or rate us on your podcatcher of choice.